Okay, so we're diving into something that might not be the most obvious thing. Upgrading your home's electrical system. You might be thinking, well, why? Like my lights turn on, everything's fine. But trust me, this deep dive is going to be pretty eye-opening. We're looking at this guide from Electrical Services LLC, and let me tell you, there's some pretty interesting stuff in here.
Yeah, it's funny we've been talking about like how much our homes have become so digital, but most people don't realize their electrical systems are like running a marathon on a treadmill in terms of the power they're using.
That's a great analogy. I mean, seriously, think about how many devices you're using in your home right now compared to like even 10 years ago. This guide says like 3 times more electricity than just a few decades ago.
Yeah, and all those older systems, the wiring and panels, they just weren't made for this. It's like trying to, I don't know, squeeze a river through a straw, you know?
Okay, so let's break that down a little bit.
Yeah.
What actually happens when an electrical system is like struggling to keep up?
Yeah.
Besides maybe, the lights flickering every once in a while,
Yeah.
what's the big deal? What should we actually be concerned about?
Well, the thing about those flickering lights is it's not just annoying, right? It can be a sign of an overloaded circuit, and that can be a fire hazard. And then there's those breakers that trip all the time. That's not just annoying, it's like your house hitting, like the big red emergency button before something even worse happens.
You're saying like an electrical fire.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I never thought of it that way. Those little signs like the flickering lights, the breaker, tripping. I mean, I just thought it was kind of, just one of those things.
Yeah, they seem really minor, right?
Yeah.
But it could mean that the electrical panel, which is like the heart of your electrical system, is just totally overwhelmed.
Okay, so we really do need to think of it as more than just like an out of sight, out of mind utility. It's a core part of our home. Like you said, the heart.
Yeah. And that's where upgrades come in. It's not just about keeping the lights on. It's making sure it can actually handle everything you need it to and do it safely.
So where do you even begin with that? Is it just calling an electrician saying, hey, upgrade this? Or is it more complicated?
Well, you want to make sure you have someone who knows what they're doing. A licensed electrician, someone who really understands how these modern systems work.
Yeah.
They need to know how to do things like load calculations to make sure it can handle what you need it to.
Load calculations. That sounds a little intimidating.
It's basically like imagine how much weight a bridge can handle before it.
Right.
It's making sure it doesn't buckle under pressure. A good electrician will look at all the devices, how much power they use, everything.
So finding the right person is key. I'm curious about the actual upgrades themselves. What are some of the things homeowners should be thinking about?
Well, one of the biggest ones is switching to LED lighting.
LEDs, right. We hear about them all the time.
Hmm.
But this guide really breaks it down. And you can save like 80% on your lighting costs.
Yeah, up to 80%. And it's not just like a marketing thing.
Yeah.
LEDs use most of their energy to actually make light, not like those old bulbs.
Oh, you mean the ones that felt like they were trying to heat up my house more than light it?
Yeah, exactly. And those LEDs, they last so much longer, like years longer, maybe even decades, compared to incandescent bulbs, which I swear I was changing them every other week, it felt like.
Yeah, no more climbing up the ladder every other day.
Yeah.
What really struck me in the guide was, it's not just one kind of LED now. There's a ton of variety.
Oh, yeah. You can choose all kinds of color temperatures now. Want a cozy living room? Warm light? Want that office to feel more focused? Cool white? It's like having a lighting designer in your house.
This is making me realize this isn't just like a boring practicality upgrade. It can actually change the feel of your home.
Hmm.
And speaking of changing the feel, they also talked about smart home technology, which is like a whole other level.
It really is. It's one of the things. Electrical Services LLC, they're really big on that. But before we get too far ahead, maybe we should go back to that electrical panel for a second.
Yeah, let's go back to the heart of it all. What do we need to know about that?
Yeah.
It's almost like we're talking about giving our homes like a whole brain transplant. Out with the old, in with the new stuff that can actually handle how we live today.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I mean, you wouldn't try to run the latest software on a computer from like the 90s, right? Same
Yeah.
idea here.
Okay, so when we say upgrade the panel, what does that even mean? Are we literally just swapping out like a box in the basement?
Well, it can be a little bit more than that. A good electrician, like they said, these guys at Electrical Services LLC, they'll actually figure out like how much your system can handle now, how old your wiring is, all that, and then recommend what you actually need. Could be a bigger panel or even one of those smart panels.
Smart panels, huh? Oh, so what's so smart about them?
Think of it like this. A panel that not only powers everything, but also like tells you what's going on. You can see what's using the most energy, can even control things from your phone, all kinds of stuff.
So it's like taking all those energy-saving tips and like automating it.
Exactly. And that's just one part of it. We were talking about smart homes earlier.
Right. They mentioned smart thermostats, but is that kind of what we're getting at? Like how your whole house becomes smart when the electrical system is well designed?
It's all connected. When your lights, your appliances, your security system even, it's all talking to each other.
Okay, so give me an example. What does that look like in real life?
Okay, imagine. You wake up, your thermostat already knows what temperature you like, so it's nice and comfy. You get out of bed, the lights kind of slowly come on, not a big shock. Go downstairs, your coffee's already made because it was plugged into this smart outlet.
Okay, now you're just making me jealous.
Yeah.
But it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't have to, like, program all that myself.
That's the point. It's supposed to make your life easier, not harder. More efficient, comfortable.
And this is where, like, a company that specializes in this is what you need, right?
Exactly. And what's interesting is they said this Electrical Services LLC, they don't just have one size fits all. They actually want to know what you need, what you can afford, what your goals are.
That's a good point, because I've heard horror stories about contractors who just want to sell you the most expensive thing.
Yeah.
Or they cut corners.
And that's why it's so important to find someone with a good reputation, someone you can trust, you know. And from what I saw, these guys, they seem to be all about transparency. Like they even tell you the pricing up front so you know what you're getting.
Yeah, transparency is huge, especially when you're talking about something as important as your electrical system.
Right, you don't want to mess around with that. And you know what else really impressed me? They were really big on safety.
Oh, yeah, I remember they said they only use, like, licensed electricians, people who are up on all the latest codes and everything.
Right. It's great to have a cool smart home, but not if it's going to burn down, right? So it's got to be done right. And with these guys, you get that peace of mind.
So we've talked about a lot, upgrading the panel, making your house smart. But what I'm really taking away from this is it's more than just keeping up with the Joneses.
I agree. It's about your family's safety, too. And making your home a place you actually want to be.
It's investing in your home's future and making sure it can handle whatever crazy technology comes next.
Exactly. And that's what's so cool about this. Technology is always changing.
Which makes me wonder what's next for our homes. What's coming down the line? It's like, are we about to see like a whole new era of home electricity?
It's already started. Like, you know those home battery systems? They're getting big.
You mean like the Tesla Powerwall and all that? Is that going to be on every house soon?
Well, think about it. Your house could have solar panels, right?
Yeah.
But it could also store that energy, so even if the power goes out, you're fine.
So no more like those noisy generators?
Exactly.
Wow, that would be a game changer.
And get this. What if your house could make more energy than it uses? It could sell back to the grid.
Wait, so we get paid for our electricity?
Some places are already trying that out. It's a whole new way of thinking about energy.
This is blowing my mind. It really seems like things are about to change in a big way.
Yeah, and the cool thing is if you upgrade now, you're not just catching up. You're ready for whatever's next.
It's not just flipping a switch, it's flipping the script.
Exactly.
So I think the biggest thing I've learned is this isn't just about lights and appliances. It's about, like, a totally different way of living in your home.
For sure. It's safer, it's smarter, and it's ready for the future.
And who knows, maybe someday we'll be recording this whole thing using just solar power.
Now, that would be something.
Well, this has been a really electrifying deep dive, I gotta say. Hopefully you've learned something and you're ready to, take charge of your own electrical future. Thanks for listening.